all of this yesterday. So we're going to start day 2 with number 2. There's one back there, or there's going to be more in the extra copies bin. So we'll start day 2 here. Okay, and we started with parabolas, or quadratic functions. Okay. And our parent function is y equals ax squared. And we went ahead and graphed different types of equations. Here our a is 1/4, here's our a is 1/2, here our a is 1, here our a is 2 and 5. And we notice that when a gets bigger, our graph gets skinnier or it stretches. Also, we notice that when our a is negative, our parabola, U-shape, flips downward, okay, opens downward. Now, we're going to continue on and just look at some other properties of our graph and what happens to it when other things are added and subtracted to it, or multiplied and divided. Okay, are you ready, kids? All right, number 2. You need your calculators. Remember I showed you how to do this yesterday? Okay, so you go to your y equals, because this is your y equals button right there. Guys, quiet down. And I'm going to put in 3. And my x key is right here. My squared key is right there. So I have 3x squared plus 4. And I'm going to hit graph. Now I'm going to go ahead and graph this particular one by getting some points. I'm going to hit my second key, graph, brings up my chart. I can kind of locate my vertex here because my y values start repeating at 7. So I know that 0, 4 is our vertex. So I have 0, 4. See, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to have the points. Thank you. TJ here? I don't think he's here. No. Thank you. All right. So I got the points. My vertex at 0, 4. And my other couple of points here, -1, 7. -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, way up here, 7. And I got 1, 7, way up there. So here's my first graph. Okay. My second graph is going to be +2. Y equals +2. So in your y equals button, so y equals, I'm going to clear this one out, put 3x squared plus 2, hit graph. And what's happening here? It's going up at 2, right? Everything else stays the same. Go to our graph. Let's see, you guys can hardly read these numbers. Let me zoom in. Okay, here's my vertex at 0, 2. I have -1, 5, 1, 5. So 1, 5. And -1, 5. So here's this parabola. Then I've got -2. So what's going to happen? Where's my vertex on that one? It's going to be -2. So -2. And we're going to have to move these down. Well, I move this one down 1, 2, 3. So I'm probably going to move these down 3. Let's just double check. Go to our y equals. And instead of +2, we're going to -2. Hit our graph. Go to our chart, our table. My vertex, 0, -2. -1, 1. Oops, I was off by 1. Good thing I checked. So here's my parabola. And the last one, my vertex here is 0, -4. I'm not going to chance this one. I'm going to put in -4. Graph it. Go to my chart, second graph. And I've got -1, -1. -1, -1. Positive 1, -1, -1, -1. So there's my graph of these equations. And let's answer the questions. Now, remember, what we're doing here is we're adding c to our y equals ax squared. See how we're just adding the c? +4, +2, -2, -4. These are our c's here. Okay, how does the value of c affect the graph of 3x squared plus c? Well, it either moves it up or it moves it down, depending on the sign. So it either moves the vertex up or down, depending on the sign. Okay, F. At what point would the graph y equals 3x squared minus 4 intersect the y-axis? Well, it's this one. It's going to intersect that y-axis at -4. At our C, which is -4. And the last one, at what point would the graph y equals 3x squared plus 5 intersect the y-axis? Well, our C is +5, so it's going to intersect the y-axis at 5. Okay, flip it over. Okay, this is going to be your homework or practice work. Let's do one of these. Let's do, well, it doesn't really matter. Let's do number 3. A couple of things about, now remember, we're using y equals ax squared plus c. Okay, now here my a is what? Negative 1/4, right? Negative 1/4. Now, and my c equals 5. Okay, so let's look at the a here. Let's describe, is this going to open upwards or downwards? Downwards, because of the negative sign. Remember, when we were doing this on the other side, the negative sign opened it downwards. Okay? Now, describe the width. We're not worried about the negative sign anymore. We're worried about this number, which is 1/4. When it was 1/4 on this side, our parabola was the widest. See how these got narrower or skinnier? So this, the width, got wider. And we described this one intersecting the y-axis. Well, we just did that down here. Our C tells us where it's going to intersect the y-axis. So we look at our problem. Our C is positive 5. So it's going to intersect the y-axis at 5. Now, since it opens downwards, that means our parabola is going to look something like this. Opens downwards, we have a max or a min. Be careful, our vertex is a maximum, right? And to determine what the vertex is, let's go ahead and put it in our calculators. So I hit my y equals. Now, please put fractions in parentheses. And remember, negative signs uses this minus t down here, okay, in parentheses. So I have negative 1 divided by 4 for my fraction 1/4, x squared plus 5. I'm going to hit graph. And my vertex, well, I know it intersects at the y-axis. So it should be 0, 5 is my vertex. Okay. So I'm going to put down 0, 5, the point, 0, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know it opens downward, maximum. I'm going to get some whole numbers here. I have 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I've got a negative 2 and a positive 4. Now, 3 points is enough. I'm just going to go ahead and put 5 points, but that's just my preference. Negative 4, 1, and then I have positive 4. This makes it a little bit more accurate. Okay? And there's my sketch. Now, your job is, or practice work is 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You have a little over 25 minutes to finish this. Questions, comments, concerns? Good? Alrighty.